Are you looking to unlock a new skill in your plant hobby? Well, stick around because today we're going to be learning all about moss poles, the art of vertical growing. We're going to start this video off with the reasons why you should put your plants on a moss pole. Moss poles in the jungle are actually trees. Plants will attach their aerial roots to the tree and climb all the way up. It will encourage faster growth, it will encourage those mature, beautiful leaves, and it will also give the plant support. In our homes, we obviously don't have trees, so we can use moss poles. Moss poles are a little bit of maintenance. It's very essential to keep them hydrated because to keep them hydrated promotes healthy root growth. And if you don't keep them hydrated, then your plant's roots will dry out and you will not get those big leaves that you're looking for. I'm going to be using tree fern fiber and moss today for my moss poles. I have a lot of poles that are actually just moss, but I want to switch over to tree fern and moss as I find it's easier to take off of the roots. So we're going to be doing, let me see here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 plants on my list. I don't know if we're going to get through all of those today, but we're going to do our very best. So I have 2 plants that I want to put onto moss poles. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 plants that I want to do moss pole extensions on. I have 4 plants that I want to just add some moss into the pole. I have 2 plants that I want to remove from moss poles, and I have 1 plant that I just want to attach to the moss pole. So we're going to do our best to get into all of those today. These are the moss poles that I like to use. They're called D-shaped moss poles. They have the honeycomb holes in the middle of them, and that is where the aerial roots from your plant will attach into the substrate inside of the pole. These are simple to use. I like to use these because you can also extend them. So you basically fold them and attach them at the back. They have these slots here where you can choose which size of pole you would like. They're relatively easy to assemble. I mean, it takes some practice, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple from there. So these are the poles that I'll be using today. I bought these at Houseplant Essentials, which I will link in the description box. North Shore Tropicals also sells them, and you can get them on Amazon. There are a lot of places you can get these moss poles, and they're great. I really like them a lot. These are my go-to poles. I'm not a pole builder. I like to make it as easy and simple as possible, so these are the ones that I'll reach for. Before this video, I boiled a bunch of my old moss that I had sitting around to use for moss poles. I literally just boiled it for 20 minutes on my stove and squeezed the excess water out and put it into this bin. So this is one of the substrates that we will be using today. I've also mixed up some tree fern fiber and pon just to pot some of my philodendrons in. I don't use tree fern and pon in my moss poles as it's far too fine and I find it will spill out of the pole, but I do like to plant my philodendrons into this substrate as I find their roots really take to it very well. So this is what we're going to be using in the pots. And this is the mix that we're going to be using in our moss poles. So this is tree fern fiber mixed with chopped up moss. It's about a 50-50 mixture, and I find it's easier to take the roots off of this substrate as opposed to straight moss. So this is the tree fern and moss. I just got it a little bit wet and gave it a good mix. I like to use plant Velcro to attach my plants to the pole. It's a very simple way. You can also use clips, but this is what I like to use. It also comes in black. I will link it in the description box. You can just get it on Amazon or your local gardening store. I'll also be inoculating the poles with great white. I like to put this into my moss poles so that the roots have a better chance to take off. I also just have this stick that I found that I'm going to use to poke into the pole if I need to shove the moss down and I can't reach my hand in. So it's good to have a poking stick on hand. So the 2 plants that we're going to be putting onto moss poles are my Philodendron El Choco Red. Look how cute she is. I grew this plant from a wet stick, so I'm actually really excited to finally get it on a pole. If you can see, I'm going to put her on that side of the stem there, and hopefully she attaches. I really like this plant a lot. It has the beautiful red backs. The beautiful red backs show on the backs of the leaves as well when you see a new leaf coming in, and the new leaves are just such a pretty color. I really like the Philodendron El Choco Red, and seeing Wild Fern's El Choco Red made me really want to try to put mine on a pole and grow it up. She had a very beautiful El Choco Red, and I'm really excited and hope that I can do that with mine. This El Choco Red is currently in an aroid mix with a Lecker reservoir, and she's quite rooted into there. You can see roots all the way down into the Lecker reservoir. So she is definitely ready to go. And this is my Philodendron Longilobatum, which I received not too long ago. It's finally rooted up in this nasty algae-ridden vessel. But we have lots of good, healthy roots. So she is definitely more than ready. She's got some extra floral nectaries on her stems. Do you see those water droplets? Right on this stem, you can see it good. Right there. So those are a way of the plant protecting itself. The extra floral nectaries will attract ants, which will eat the nectar in exchange for protecting the plant from pests. So philodendrons often get these on the backs of their leaves and on the petioles, and it will burn a hole through the plant. So I'm going to scrub that off before I put this onto a pole because I don't want my plant looking all burned. Extra floral nectaries are so annoying, but if you just keep your plant clean, then it's not a big issue. So I think first we'll work with the El Choco Red. We're going to remove this bug sachet, my beneficial predatory mites, and we're also going to unpot this. It's currently just on a bamboo stick, so I'm going to remove the stick out of there. And I'm going to grab a potting mat. All right, so got the potting mat. We're just going to remove this from its no drainage glass vessel. I'm going to use this bamboo stick actually just to loosen it up a bit along the side. That's one difficult thing about growing in no drainage is it can be hard to get the plant out of the pot, but I do like growing in no drainage. And philodendron roots are so fine. So let's see if we can get this out. All right. Well, I think I broke a little bit of roots, but honestly, this plant still has a lot of roots, as you can see. So I'm just gonna take off as much of this mix as I can get, and then I'll give it a good rinse in the sink and we'll pot it up. All right, I'm gonna go give her a rinse, but here are her roots. So her roots are actually looking very good. I gave her a little rinse in the sink too, so she's all shiny. I'm just gonna find a pot that she will fit in, and the moss pole will also fit. Okay, so I think this pot here will be good. We can put the El Choco in the front, and the moss pole will still have a lot of room in the back. And since philodendron roots are so fine, I'm not going to make it on the largest size, I don't think. I usually like to do it on the largest size so that I don't have to water as much, but I don't know. We'll see when we get there. I'm just going to grab the pole. And these moss poles have clear plastic on either side of them, so you'll want to find it in the corner. You can lift it up like that and remove them. Just go slowly. That's the easiest way to take it off. And then we will also find it on the other side. You just gotta kind of push with your finger and it will peel back. And it is just to protect the plastic so the plastic doesn't get scratched. So if you can see there, it has these two lines that run down on either side of the honeycomb. So we're going to fold at those lines very gently and carefully. And all the way down. This is so much easier than making a moss pole with netting. I'm obsessed with these things. So then we have that one is folded. So then we're gonna go along to the other side and do the same thing. All right, so now we have the front of our moss pole looking more moss pole-y, and the back is open. We have these legs here on the bottom that I'm just gonna cut off. I just find it fits easier into the pot if you cut them off. So I'm just gonna quickly chop them. 1, 2. That was pretty good. It's a little crooked, but I'm not worried about it. Okay, so then you want to fit these tabs that you see. Oh, you can see them. You want to fit those tabs into these slots. So the one closest to the honeycomb is the smallest size pole, and then it goes up from there. The El Choco Red lives in my tent for now anyways. So I'm thinking it won't be too bad to put it on like the third size, or sorry, the second size. We'll see. But you can fold the back with the tabs into the middle. And you want to open the tabs because it's really hard to get them in if you don't pre-open them. So just kind of like wiggle them so that they kind of crack open. And then it's way easier in the long run. Okay, so I'm gonna if I put it on the biggest one though, it will give it the best stability. Maybe I'll just put it on the biggest one. It's really hard though. I'm gonna put you down. And once you've got them all in, you want to try to get one to click right in so that you can click the rest in. So you just want to wiggle it and you hear a click like that, and then you can just do the rest. That's the finickiest part of the pole. It's hard to get those tabs together. But now we have our pole assembled and we are ready to put it into our pot. So I want to see if it fits in this pot with this plant. So first I'm going to take out the plant and then we're going to just put this pole in and see if it's going to work. I mean, you see there's not much space in there, but do I do this? Because the pole, or the plant will attach to the pole right there. And I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of room in there, but we don't want it to rot either. And we can always upsize it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. To start, these pots have like a groove in there. So if I put the pole in, it's not going to sit flat. So I'm just going to fill that with a little bit of tree fern and pond. Okay, so now I have a flat surface at the bottom. I've just put a little bit in just to cover that groove and make it more flat. Now I'm gonna put my moss pole in. I'm gonna find the bottom with where I cut the legs off and put that as the bottom. Okay, and you wanna fill the bottom of the moss pole with the substrate that is in the pot. So I'm gonna take my tree fern and pond and just pour it down the top. If you're using an aeroid mix, you would just put the aeroid mix into the pole instead of what I'm using, the tree fern and pond. But essentially, You want it to go to the top of the pot. I was looking for a bigger pot, but I think I'm gonna have to go pot shopping. That's okay, this will work fine and we'll just repot it when we need to. After that, you wanna get your plant onto the pole. So, you have our roots. I'm going to inoculate them quick with Great White. So just sprinkling a little bit on the roots. Okay. And then we want to attach the plant to the pole with the Velcro. So you want to make sure you get a long enough piece. Usually you can just measure it. Okay, that's about right there. Chop it. And then you don't have to try to hold the plant while you're doing this. So you want to make sure the roots will go in the pot. Okay, so right there is probably good. So I'm just gonna Velcro this, and the soft side of the Velcro goes against the plant because it protects it. And you want to get it on there pretty tight. So there we have it attached to the little pot. There we have it attached to the pole, and now we want to fill the substrate in the pot up. So I'm just going to do that. And if I had a bigger pot, I could put the pole in the middle of the pot rather than against the edge, but I don't right now, so I'm just going to fill the sides of the pot in as well. And you want to make sure there's no air pockets, so you want to be pressing down between each fill, just to make sure. And you can see, if you use a clear pot, you can see on the outside of the pot how you're doing for air pockets. And you want to also make sure that your pole is straight, because that can be annoying if it's crooked. So keeping an eye on your pole at the same time. I don't mind pressing this down pretty good because I know it's still quite airy. That's the one really good thing about tree fern and pon and perlite, is it's so airy, which I love. That's why I like it for philodendrons, and my philodendrons absolutely love it as well. So that's sweet. It's just a bit expensive, but you can reuse it. So you can always boil it for 20 minutes and yeah, use it again. I am a very big fan of reusing substrates. All right, so that side is in there good. Now let's get this side. And I want to bring the Velcro away from the tree fern if possible. My plant's tipped over a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to secure it a couple more times too. All right, so we have said plant on pole. She looks so cute, and I think I'm gonna just take a look and make sure my pole is straight. It's a tiny bit crooked, but I'm not worried about it. Add a little more tree fern and perlite and pond to the side. So I want it to be nice and full. Okay. Okay, we're looking good. And like I said, I'm not a moss pole expert. I've just kind of gotten into them in the last couple of years. But this is how I do my moss poles. So there we go. That's better. And now I'm going to use my moss and tree fern substrate to put into the pole. And for this, I'm just going to use my hands. Since the moss pole is at the biggest size, it's easy to fit your hand in, which is really nice. And you want to press it down so there's no air pockets in there either. You want it to stay moist for a long time, so having an airy substrate like this allows you, again, to press it down a bit. And I like to fill my poles up all the way as of recently so that I don't have to keep adding moss. It depends how much I have, though. Like if I'm getting short on moss and tree fern or whatever I'm putting in my pole, then I'll just use a little bit and then I'll add more once I get it. But I think I have enough here to fill her up. Okay, one more. There we go. You always want to leave a bit of room at the top because when you extend the moss pole, you're going to need some room for the new pole to fit into. So as you can see, she's full. So that's awesome. And I am going to attach her now again. And if you find that the internodal spacing doesn't allow you to put a full piece of Velcro, you can always just cut it in half lengthwise so that it's smaller. Let me see. I think I can, though. I do see a spot. Perfect. I can fit a whole tape around. All right, so she is attached to the pole. Now what I'm gonna do is take the excess tree fern and moss that fell out of the pole when I was filling it and just put it back into my little bin. And I'm gonna go make some myco water and water her pole. Here is my myco water. It's just a little bit brown from the myco, which is perfect. And we also need a saucer so that the water does not go everywhere. I will give her a saucer and just water her pole through very slowly. And you can see the water level going down the pole, which is really cool. That is another sweet thing about clear poles. Clear everything in this house. There we go. So it has reached the bottom and is coming into the saucer. So I'm just gonna set this aside, and at the end I will rinse off her leaves because she still has some tree fern and moss on her leaves from filling up the pole, and I'll just give her pot a really good soak in the sink. A sweet way to water your moss pole plants if you plant in drainage is to just throw them in the shower and give them a good rinse off. You can rinse the leaves off, you can water the pole and the pot, and just let them sit in there until they're not dripping and move them back to their homes. All right, so plant number 1 done. Perfect. And I've made a big mess, but that's okay. I'll clean up at the end. So next, we want to put the Longilobatum, silly mat, there we go. Next, we want to put the Longilobatum on a pole. So I'm going to go give her a good rinse. Rinse off her roots, rinse off her extra floral nectaries, and her leaves. I'll be right back. All right, so here she is all rinsed off. Her roots look amazing. Like, that's insane. So that's another good thing about myco is if you have water roots and you're scared to just plant it into a substrate, the myco will help the root system adjust, have an easier transition to your new substrate, and you won't have to worry about that as much. All right, I had a quick little intermission. My husband came home from work, but he's going to rest now. And I had to find a pot. I don't really have any bigger pots, but I have this 9-inch clear pot from Houseplant Essentials that I'm going to use for this because this thing's going to get huge. It's going to root like a beast. I'm going to put it in tree fern and ponds, so I'm not worried about it rotting, and it'll have lots of room for the moss pole. So she's going to look good in that little pot, I think. Big pot. Yeah, it's so nice to finally have bigger clear pots. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited about that. And this one has a flat bottom, so that's also helpful, but I'm still gonna, should I just put the pole in? Okay, you know what? Let's build the pole first. Let's build the pole. And since you guys already know how to build the pole, since I showed you already, I'm just gonna speed through this part. So enjoy whatever song I turn on. Wow, that actually went a lot quicker than I thought it would. So I think I'm getting the hang of it. All right, so we're gonna get our pot. And our substrate. Oh, hopefully I have enough in there. I should. There it is. All right. Put our pole in, and I'm gonna put this one more in the middle. And since it's a bit bigger, I have room to put some tree fern and pond around the outside to keep it more stable while I fill it with the tree fern and pond in the base of the pole. Oh no, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough. Oh dear. I also don't have any more tree fern, so that's gonna be an issue. Well, we're just gonna work with it, see what happens. All right, so then we're gonna attach the plant to the pole. Where are we gonna attach the plant to the pole? We want the aerial root. If you see there's aerial roots in the back, you wanna try to tuck them in to the pole if you can, at least one of them. And then we can just fill the pole on top of it. That's perfect. Okay. And you want to try to get it around any roots that might be in the front so you don't choke the roots out with the tape. My friend just bought a huge 40-liter bag of the tree fern. I should have went in with her on shipping. Maybe I'll see if somebody wants to, because I use so much of that and I always just buy the 10-liter bags off of Amazon and it's just too expensive. And it doesn't last long enough either. Sprinkle that myco on the roots and hope to God that this is enough tree fern. I think I'll use my scoop. Can't even see what I'm doing. Oh, you know what? I do have more tree fern. I just have to boil it. I wonder if I should quickly throw that on and we can skip to the next plant and come back to this one. Let's do that. I'm just gonna go boil my tree fern. So that's definitely one pro of having substrate that you can reuse is usually you always have a stockpile of it that you need to clean, because who likes cleaning their substrate? Let's be honest. So that's just on the stove, and I'm going to hydrate these roots while it's sitting there waiting. First, I'm going to use a saucer. Silly. There we go. So I'm just going to hydrate those roots, and yeah, there we go. I'm just going to put this to the side, and we'll come back to this plant once I have more tree fern and pawn. So we'll put her back there with her El Choco friend. There we go. And I will fill up my bin when that gets boiled. Oh, I'm so grateful for that. I thought for sure, I was like, oh no, I ran out. Anyways, that's good. So that's on the stove, and I'm just gonna take a quick look. Actually, first I'm gonna empty the tree fern and pawn from my potting mat. Take out these plastic pole legs, but I'm gonna put that into that plant. Okay, so there we have that. Now let's see what is next on our list. Longilobatum is in progress. El Choco is put on the pole. So now we can do... Okay, I'm going to wait on the extensions because I might need some of that mix with it. So we're going to add moss to 1, 2, 3, 4 plants. So I'm going to go grab those plants and I'll be right back. Okay, I have the plants. So I'm going to start with the littlest one. The first one here is an Epipremnum Pinnatum tricolor, which I was gifted to for Christmas by my friend Ghemz over at ghemzplantitas. Look how pretty that is. I have this on a lazy moss pole that I created a la Charmaine from Unplantparenthood. She taught me how to make this. So these are the first poles that I started to use, and I'll talk a little bit more about them later on in the video, but yes, so this one is on a lazy moss pole. I just want to stuff it with some moss, so we'll do that first. I'm wondering if this tree fern and moss is going to fall out or what. We'll see. And this one is in no drainage and pawn. So I have my little plastic pieces to hold it into place. Should work. I wasn't sure if the tree fern was going to be too fine for this, but I don't think it is. I think it'll be fine. I think it will be good. And I'm not going to fill this one all the way to the top. I'm just going to look and see where I can attach it and do that. So I did fill it with the tree fern and moss, and if we look at the stem of this plant, see, it's kind of small, but it's leaned up against that bottom plastic piece, so I'm going to take that plastic piece off, just like that, and expose the stem to the substrate, just like that. Oh no, hopefully it doesn't fall out. So I'm just gonna press the tree fern and moss down so it's quite compact. Oh, another one fell off. Okay, Okay. So there we have that, and I don't want to use the plastic piece to attach it because, as you can see, the internodal spacing is quite small. The internodal spacing is the space between the nodes where I would attach the plastic or the Velcro. So I'm gonna just get some Velcro, I think, out and use that. And Epipremnums will climb a moss pole very easily, so it'll start attaching by itself. I'm just gonna chop this lengthwise so I have two pieces and it will fit better on the stem. There we are, smaller piece. And let me see if I can lower you down here. You probably won't be able to see much, but I'm gonna attach the bottom there. And if you look, we have another aerial root starting to form right there. Do you see that bump right at the node? Right there. That is an aerial root starting. So we want that to be facing the tree fern and moss. So I'm going to move this plastic piece up a little bit and turn the plant and attach it. Oh, it's got a new leaf coming out in the top there, so I don't know if I should do that until the new leaf comes out. I don't want to wreck the leaf. I'm just going to leave it like that. But I want to put my plastic pieces back on. So these plastic pieces, excuse this plastic is sturdy, but they have little splits on them on opposite sides. One on the top on the right and one on the bottom on the left, and that is where I attach them in the back of the pole to clip it onto the pole. I like to use these for my smaller plants, and if I'm too lazy to make a pole, I'll just make a quick lazy pole, chop the bottom of that off because it's a little brown. But I have a little bit of water here. I'm just gonna add some Myco and give it a good stir. Oh, I have a stick, perfect. Excellent. And then we're gonna just water that pole through. But since this is no drainage, I don't like having moss poles in no drainage, and I don't know why I did that. It's really easy to overwater your moss pole and your plant if you have no drainage. A good thing about Epipremnums is they actually do like a lot of water, so I'm gonna go to the bottom of this line here. So you're just watering it slowly and then observing how fast it takes to fill up. Okay, so that's good. So our moss pole is moistened, our plant is attached, and we're just gonna wait for that new leaf to come out. Next we have my Amydrium Green. Oh, I love this plant so much. So this is her newest leaf, so shiny and beautiful. She's got one with the fenestration. Actually, she has two with fenestrations. So this just has moss in it, and if you can see, the moss is covered in algae, which is disgusting. It's like green, right? So this is just in my ambient room conditions, and I'm going to, instead of putting moss in there, I'm going to use the tree fern mixed with moss and transition it to that substrate. And this is one I made a while ago, so the pole is only in here to here, instead of all the way down like it should be. And it might not be, oh yeah, it's pretty stable. It's rooted in there pretty good though, I think. And this one's also in no drainage, so I have to be very careful about filling it up. So I am going to put this on the back and remove, this is the best part, removing sheaths. I love doing that. Remove the sheaths, the dried sheaths, off of the stem. And, oh my goodness, is this even attached? I have the tape right where the node was, so it wasn't attached at the bottom one there. So I'm going to reattach that at the node, of course. Beep. Okay. And tape it. And this is another trick you can do if you don't have enough Velcro and you have two pieces. You can attach them together to make a longer piece. So that's always helpful. And the top node is attached, but the new growth point is growing inside. So, oh no, it's not attached. Okay, So we have our new growth, which is right here, and it was inside of the moss pole. So you want to be very careful with that, with moss poles, because that will happen often. And our node wasn't attached into the moss. So I'm just going to try to move this over so it's more centered and see if I can attach it that way. Oh no, it is. Okay, it's attached. There's definitely a root in there. So what I'm going to do is, do I even need to put tape there? I think I'm gonna anyways. And then I'm just gonna keep an eye on this plant. And once it is growing a new node, I'm gonna try to train it to go more into the middle of the pole, because right now it's growing up the right side of the pole, which I don't want. So we're gonna attach that. And try to get that growth point out. It keeps getting tucked in there. So we want the growth point out. So what I have done is taken the growth point and put it along the side of the pole, and I put this piece of tape along where the node has the aerial root into the moss. So now I'm going to fill it. I wonder if it'll be easier for you to see if I go back or put it on my chair. Okay. Chair it is. Okay, so now we're gonna take our moss mixture and try not to get it all over my chair. Put it into the pole. There is moss and tree fern on my chair. Darn it. I guess I could have put the potting mat under it, but whatever. Planting's messy. I'm over it. Not over planting, but over getting upset about the mess. Bound to happen. I'm hoping now that the weather is nicer that my amydriums will start growing a little faster. Both of them have been so slow. It's sad because they're one of my favorite genuses. This is the plant that got me into tropical plants. I seen a picture of it on Pinterest and it was all over from there. All right, getting closer. So I'm gonna do one more, little bit of moss and tree fern. And leave it there so that we have room to make the next extension when we do extend. And I'm gonna go get some water and mix my myco in it and water that pole. All right, pole is watered, and I'm just gonna take this and put it back here with the rest of our plants. And get this moss off my chair. All right, next plant. Adding moss to poles is such an easy task. What are we gonna do? Oh, my Esqueleto also needs an extension. Okay, we're gonna do my Epi NOID first. So this is my Epi NOID. If you guys watch Wild Fern and her Epi NOID, which she now calls Cebu Blue, which it most likely is a type of Cebu Blue, but for selling reasons, I don't label it as Cebu Blue because I do a lot of plant selling and this doesn't look like your typical Cebu Blue. And if you chop it, it doesn't go back to the normal Cebu Blue look. Like, I'll grab my Cebu and show you. Coincidentally enough, this is actually from Fern. This is the first plant I bought from her. But this is my Cebu Blue, and the leaves look way different than these big leaves. And this plant here grows faster than the Cebu and splits quicker too. So this is my Cebu Blue, and I'm just calling this Epi NOID, but it is most likely some sort of Cebu Blue. Probably from a different part of the world than the normal Cebu Blue. But she got some fertilizer burn, so she's got a bit of crispy tips, so I chopped them off at the bottom, but the new growth at the top looks pretty good. Another good tip for moss poles is go to the thrift store or go pot shopping and find heavy pots, because sometimes when you water the pole it gets top heavy and it'll like your plant will knock over. So if you have it in a heavy ceramic pot, it doesn't do that. I have this little stone I got from my garden center. It says dragonflies appear when angels are near. I thought that was so pretty. And I have a little mite pack on here as well. And if you can see, the moss pole has, oh, you can't see. The moss pole is, this one's an ambient too, so this one's starting to mold just a tiny bit. So what I have is a solution of peroxide and water. I'm just gonna spray the top of that to try and kill that mold. I'll grab that. So this is just 50% of the 3% peroxide and 50% of my tap water, and I just use this to kill mold on the top of anything that has mold on it. So give it a good spray. And I find it really helps a lot. You have to make sure your moss poles have the exact amount of moisture in them that it won't mold, but that they won't go too dry. So it's really hard to find a happy medium. And if you don't have a fan going, it'll mold. But if you have a fan going, they'll dry faster. So yeah, fun times. So just gonna spray that down and hope that helps. Well, it will help. But we're going to try and prevent that issue now with using tree fern and moss instead of just moss by itself. But this pole has got some roots in it for sure. Like I said, Epi is attached to the pole so good. Like, let's see if I can show you. Oh, can you see there? There's a green root going all the way down there. Do I see more roots in here? No, but it is attached to the pole. So yes, this is one that I don't have to tape down. It just attaches itself, which is super, super nice. And I just have this bamboo stake in the back taped on with Velcro to support the moss pole. But we're gonna move this one down to the chair so you can see what I'm doing. Just like that. There we go. And I also started the timer for my boiling tree fern and pond because it started boiling. So I started it for 20 minutes, so that should be done soon. And this one is not on the largest, so I'm going to use this bamboo stake to just push down that tree fern and moss. There we go. Fern's Epi NOID looks so, so good. Oh my goodness. That made me put mine on a pole. I was like, oh dear, I need that in my life. I have a couple different Epi NOIDs. They look slightly different. Been trying to identify them for a long time, but I do think that it is a Cebu blue, just from a different part of the world. Sorry if you can hear my pot boiling. Okay. Ugh, moss everywhere. I'm being messy today. But that's okay. That is okay. And I think the look of the moss and tree fern is way prettier too. It's way darker, and I like the darker look better than the light moss. Look. So one more handful of that, and then I'll leave room for the extension at the top. She looks so good. Oh no, she's super heavy now. Okay, maybe I can put a rock in this ceramic pot to help it. Actually, oh, she's good if I stand her up. She just needed to be on a flat surface and not on my chair. Put her back here. Perfect. All right, I'm hoping we have enough moss for everything. Moss and tree fern, because I don't have any of that to boil, but anyways, let's take a look here. Where's our pen? There it is. So, Epi NOID add moss, Epi tricolor add moss, Amydrium Green, and okay, so I think from here on out, I'm just going to use enough tree fern and moss to cover the aerial root and maybe the next one up instead of filling the whole pole up, just so I have enough for every plant. So, Esqueleto, add moss, and extend. So we have extensions here. Okay, let's just do that since it's here. So this is my Esqueleto, which we repotted together in my aeroid refresh video. Oh, it's so big. Can you see that? It's so, so pretty. I love this plant so much. It's so beautiful. And it's got a new leaf coming. I'll bring it down. I just have water in the reservoir down here that actually needs a rinse. Maybe I'll go rinse that and then I'll show you the new leaves. I'll be right back. Need to flush this plant. Okay, here she is. So I gave her a good flush and grabbed her a clean tray. And I wanted to show you her newest leaf. So this here is her newest leaf. Oh my goodness, look how big that's gonna be. It's so pretty. And this was her last leaf. This came out after the repot and like it's massive. I love this plant so much. I'm obsessed. It's got some pretty decent sized leaves on it. But if you look in the back, she is also, oh, you can't see that. Okay, I'll lift you up. If you look in the back, she has got roots in her moss pole. She loves her moss pole. And it is time for an extension. So we're gonna extend it. All right, so she's another one that's kind of growing off to the side of the plant, which you cannot see because of these leaves. Maybe this way. Yeah, see, she is pretty close to the edge of the pot, so I want her to go more into the middle. So I'm gonna have to try to train her somehow. And I want to put the, maybe I should just keep doing moss with this one. No, I want to transition everything out of moss. But she's got some aerial roots. I'm going to lift you up. She has got some aerial roots, as you can see, that are poking out of that stem, and we want them to have something to attach to. There's no moss in there. So what we are going to do today, and this is a frosted moss pole. I couldn't order the clear ones from North Shore Tropicals one time because they were out, so I got frosted ones. So I'm gonna do a clear one, and I'm gonna hope that the houseplant is, oh, actually, I have some old North Shore Tropicals poles. I'm gonna go take a look. Look at this, I was able to find a frosted one so we can keep it the same. I don't even know if it's the same size. I'm gonna pop these legs off. I cleaned this one as best I could. It's still a little dirty, but that's fine. Let's see if it's the same size. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna put it down on my chair again. All right, there we go, that's easier. Hopefully, you can just pop it right in there. For the moss pole extensions, they just fit right inside of the old moss pole, which is sweet. Oh, it does fit, perfect. See? And then you just push it down and add your moss. Sometimes, let me see here. Sometimes the bottom of the plastic will go in though, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. You just got to get moss in there, shove it in. So, I'm going to use the tree fern and do this. know I said I wasn't gonna fill it all the way to the top, but I lied. I'm gonna. This plant actually grows quite fast, believe it or not. So I think it'll reach the top in no time. And then I'll have to do a chop and extend, which isn't a bad thing. Those big leaves are so beautiful. Oh, I just love them so much. Okay, I think that's enough for now. And I also want to fill this gap in, right in here. So if you look in here, there is a gap because the old pole kind of sucked in a bit. You can see it behind there. So I just want to put some tree fern just in this little area. Oh, that means my pond is done. You're probably so confused. When I put this pole in, it just kind of like sucked in. So there's a space between the old pole and the new pole where the tree fern and moss was not going in when I just filled it at the top. So I'm just kind of manually doing that, which happens sometimes. Still easier than making a wire or netting moss pole. That's so annoying. I hate those poles and they always turn out crooked. I can never make nice poles. It's so hard. So that's why I love these D-shaped moss poles. And an advantage of these D-shaped moss poles is the substrate inside stays moist for longer, which is really helpful if you don't like to water your pole every day. So there's that, and almost there. Oh, I can move that. Perfect. I'm gonna train that Esqueleto stem to go into the middle rather than right on the side. I did not realize it wasn't attached there. That's perfect. Okay, I think that's good. It'll find its way in there. So now I want to get one of these. And this is another plant that hasn't had a hard time attaching to the pole either. The only reason I'm using the piece of Velcro is to move this stem more into the middle of the plant, into the middle of the pole, not the plant. All right, let's see here. That's way better. Okay, perfect. She is looking good, but now we have a whole bunch of moss and tree fern on her pond. So I'm gonna try to dig some of that out, take some pond with it. Oh well, it's not a big deal if it sits on top either. It just looks nicer with straight up pond. I'm just gonna mix it in. It's fine. All right, and then I'm going to water her. So we have our myco water, and I'm just gonna water her carefully. I'm just trying to like clean her as I water her. She's got tree fern and moss on her pole at the top. There we go. Perfect. And she is watered. Girl is looking fresh. Wonderful. Okay. There's another one done, so I'm going to move this one off to the side. I'm going to have to spray these all down later because they have moss and tree fern on their leaves, but that's okay. That is okay. Just take them into the shower, the ones that are in drainage anyways. Aw, I'm so happy with how everything's turning out. I'm just gonna go quickly deal with that pond and I'll be right back. Okay friends, we are back in business. We have some fresh pond and tree fern that I just boiled. It's still pretty wet because I just strained it, but that's okay. I just won't water that plant until it dries out a bit. So we're gonna finish up that plant, which was my Longilobatum. This was a wish list plant of mine that I received this year, so I'm so excited to grow this. It's very similar to the Golden Dragon. So we're just gonna finish topping her up with her substrate. Okay, so there's that, but if you look, we still have some of the roots exposed at the top. So I'm just gonna, I think I'm just gonna put some moss and tree fern and kind of pile it in front of the pole once I filled it, just to keep that hydrated. So now I'm just filling her pole with the moss and tree fern. The rest of it, this should probably be exactly enough for the rest of this pole. Just barely. Okay, so cover those roots somewhat anyways. And push that down. And pick the little bits out of the top and add them to my little moss pile over top of the root. Okay, my hands are so dirty. And now we are going to get some Myco and water her. All right, I'll let you watch from the back. It's so satisfying. The glare from my ring light might not be able to let you see, but we'll try. Oh yeah, you can see. And do you see how fast it sinks down? Like, this substrate for moss poles is so much better than moss. I got this from Charmaine and Alice's channels. I thought that was an excellent idea, and I was like, I need to try that. So, there we have that. I'm just gonna leave this plant now and put it back with her new little pole. She looks so good. And don't worry if your leaves are facing like every which way when you repot, because if you have the light in front of the moss pole plant, the leaves will turn to face the light and straighten out. So that's not a big deal. I'm just gonna take a 5-minute break and clean up my mess on the table. I'll be right back. Okay, so we got a lot done so far. I just wanna check some things off the list and see what we have left. So we did the Esqueleto and the Longilobatum. So now I want to do some extensions, and I'm just going to use moss because I don't have any tree fern left. Maybe I should save those though, but I want to show you guys an extension. Oh, I did show you an extension. We extended the Esqueleto. Okay, well, let's skip over the extensions for now, and I want to remove my Camposportoanum off of its pole and attach my elbow. So I'm going to grab those plants and I'll be right back. All right, we have babies here. So this is my Monstera Albo. She's growing for me, you guys. That's so exciting. This is her newest leaf. Look how pretty that is. Wow, I'm so, so excited for her. So she's on a dry moss pole, which doesn't matter because she wasn't attached to the pole. But as you can see, she's got an aerial root digging in there. So I'm going to wet this moss pole with Myco water very slowly because it's dry. And then I'm going to attach her properly. So I'm just going to grab some Myco water. She is literally so dry, so I'm going to have to do this very slowly. See, it just spills down the front if the moss pole is completely dry. So you really have to be careful. Another thing you can do is tilt it like this and do it that way, and it soaks in a little bit better if your plant is small enough. But she is also in no drainage, so I don't want to oversaturate her substrate. I mean, I can pour some out if I need to over the sink, but I'm going to try not to do that, which is probably going to be impossible. But if you can get it like a little saturated from the front, then it's easier to pour down the back. See, the front's more saturated, so now let's try to pour down the back. Yeah, see? She's taking that much better now. Way better. I'm just gonna turn it around so you can see better. I'm literally pouring super slow. You see how moss doesn't really drain through as good as the tree fern and moss. That's why I like using the tree fern and moss. And I think I have an answer to my out of tree fern problem. I think I'm gonna mix some of my tree fern and pond with moss and try that. I mean, the moss might come through the front of the moss poles, but I'd rather not use straight moss. So we'll try that and see what happens. Oh, she's gonna fill up fast in the bottom. She isn't even hydrating in the back, barely, which sucks. I should have put this on a tree fern pole. Oh well, that is what we have. You know what, I'm gonna pour this into the cup. I'll let you guys see my silliness. I'm gonna pour this into the cup and see if I can use that water to just water the pole again. There's pond everywhere. Oh my goodness. Kids, don't try this at home. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, let's hope this, maybe we should tilt it again. Let's try that and see if it helps. Like right back. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. We're tilting it right back and we're trying it again this way to see if more of the back gets hydrated. It's literally, the water is literally sitting at the top. Can you see that? Oh, that's not anymore. Moss can be so annoying. Oh my goodness, I got my notebook wet. No! Oh well, that's okay. That's a little better, I guess. Still not where we would like it to be though, so we're gonna do that one more time. Way easier pouring it from the back, FYI. Oh, it's coming out the top of the pole. This is quite the project we're taking on. Okay, let's try that again. If you can see, it's literally the water is just sitting in the back. Moss can be so water retentive. It's annoying. But there we are. So I'm gonna do it one more time because I want to try to saturate the bottom of the pole where the root is going in. So I'm just gonna dump that right down there. And I'll dump the pond back in the pot. Ah. Watch the new leaf. Okay, so there's that. That's good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to attach this aerial root further into the pole like this and tape it with Velcro. So here's our Velcro. Cut a piece off. I want it to like be more in the middle like that. Okay, let's try that. See if it'll work. Yeah, perfect. Oh, our little elbow's growing up. Look how cute she is. You guys, I'm so, so happy and proud of my little accomplishment. If I can grow an elbow, maybe one day I can get a mint. And her water line is good for now. Just want to see if I can see any roots. No. Well, we'll just go with it and hopefully we can see some roots soon. But there's the elbow. We'll put her in the back. Then we're gonna go on to the campo. So I have decided that I don't want the Camposportoanum in my collection anymore. I mean, it's pretty, but I have the Mycans, which is very similar, and I only like it at the junior leaf size. I don't like the big leaves. They get the trilobes. It's not my thing. I mean, it's a pretty colorful plant, but I'm going to sell this plant, I think, or give it away. We'll figure it out. So I'm going to take it off the moss pole. So what I'm going to do, I have this one taped on the back. I'm just going to pull the tape off, just for extra support. I used to do that all the time. That's how I thought I kept my moss poles on. I really should have watched more YouTube videos on moss poles. Wild Fern has a lot of really, really good ones on moss poles. She has some beautiful moss pole plants. We need the potting mat. I'll be right back. Okay, got the potting mat. We're just gonna lift this right out of the pot. And while I'm here, I'm just gonna pop this back into the pot. Got some nice healthy roots, as you can see, but I don't want to make a huge mess. I'm gonna try and get some of this pon and moss into the pot without breaking the roots inside. Just kind of wiggling my finger in there just a little bit and shaking. Okay, so now what we are going to do is open the moss pole from the back, which is going to be a little challenging, I think. I'm going to take these legs off. Okay, legs are off. I'm just going to squeeze the pole and see if I can maybe just wiggle out the roots. No, I can't. Okay. So I'm going to try to undo this from the top. Let's see. Oh yeah, slid right out. Perfect. Oh my goodness, that was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. Woo! Moss everywhere. Okay, so I want to keep my moss separate from the tree ferns. I'm going to start a little pile on my potting mat and just take off the top moss where the roots have not grown through yet, because I had this one filled to the top, and it will give us a little bit better of an idea. So this is what we have here, right there. The moss is just falling off. So it's not too much to peel off. What you want to do is just gently take the moss off of the roots as best you can, and then you'll be able to pull the roots through the front. But just be gentle. Just pull it off bit by bit. Okay, so there we go. Now we can take our plant right out of there. Perfect, and we're not damaging any of the roots. And we have an extra moss pole now, so that's also good. So I'm just gonna kind of clean these roots off best I can. And I'm not giving up my moss pole. I want to keep that, so I'm going to pot this into, what do I want to put it into? Maybe just some moss, and then I'll sell it that way. But we don't, do we need both of those roots? I'm just going to chop this root off. Chop it off. And then we can just put the bottom root system into a new cup for sale. So I'm going to grab that. I'm just going to pop some moss into here, just like this. And this root system, we will inoculate it. And somebody else can have this pretty campo, because I need to downsize my collection, which I think is the video that is going to win the poll. So you guys might get to watch me downsize my collection. Ooh, also, there is a concert coming to the island. It's called the Lake Town Shakedown, I believe, something like that. Anyways, Busta Rhymes and Bone Thugs and Harmony and Gwen Stefani are going to be there, and me and my friend are going to go. We wanted to go, but the tickets are really expensive. So what I'm going to do is surprise her for her birthday. Like, girl has a child who has cerebral palsy, And she just needs a break just as much as I need a break. So she deserves it. She's a really good friend of mine. So I'm going to surprise her and sell some of my plants and buy us tickets. So I'm really excited to do that for her. And for me, I think it's going to be a really good experience. I don't even remember the last time I was at a concert. Like I went to Avril Lavigne when I was like 16 with my friend Tasha. But yeah, so I'm excited. It's a camping weekend thing. So that's going to be fun. And she's going to be so surprised. So that's something I'm going to do this weekend. I'm going to get some plants together and try and purge. See what I can come up with. I do have some leftover plant market money that I was going to use to buy some wire shelves. But I think I might just use that for the concert tickets as well. And just use my fall plant money to buy my wire shelving. But anyways, that is our little plant. I'm gonna give her some myco water and rinse her leaves off. There she is, little cutie. All right, there's another one done. Get my wet notebook. Okay, so we did the Campo and we did the Albo. So I wanted to get my Amydrium Silver and remove it from the pole and repot it. It's looking pretty haggard, not gonna lie. So I'm gonna go grab that. Here she is. So this is, I think, her oldest leaf, and it is not looking good at all. It is very unwell, but this is her newest leaf, which looks really good. And she decided to grow a runner all the way around the lazy pole, and the part that was attached to the pole is like rotted off. So yeah, she needs a little bit of TLC. She's very, very, very rooted into there. So her roots look healthy. And she's on a lazy moss pole and it's kind of molding in there. So it's just time. It's just time to get her looking good again. Little glow up for the bestie here. So first I'm going to remove these Velcro straps. Oh yeah, I made a coffee. Yes. It's good. It's a little bit warm, but that's okay. Like not, it's a little bit cool, I meant to say. Oh, delicious. Okay. We need energy for this beautiful babe to get her going again. You know what? I'm going to remove this leaf right now. Sorry, rip. That was a pretty leaf, but like, no. Was once upon a time. And ugh. Okay. Feels so good to be doing this. I love this plant so much. I don't know why I let it get this bad. Plant parent battles. Anyways, so we're gonna remove the moss, which didn't even serve a purpose in this plant, because it decided to grow around instead of into the moss. Amydriums need poles, otherwise they just throw runners out. But they're worth it. They're such beautiful plants. I'm obsessed with my Amydriums. I love them. And look at that nasty algae-ridden pole. Take that out of there and trash it. Put it over here for now. Okay, so chopping off this nastiness right now. That's going in the garbage. And what is she even potted into? It looks like pond. Okay. I'm gonna go empty her. She's got water like up to here, which is probably why she had a yucky leaf. And I'm just gonna empty her substrate into this bowl so it's easier to clean up. Oh yeah, there's leaflet at the bottom. Yeah, the roots look great. I'm gonna kind of shake it and tease the roots a bit to get this off. My poor Amydrium Silver, the neglect, which does surprise me because I really do love this plant. My coffee better not get pon in it. Yuck. Okay, so anyways, get all of the particles off her roots, and then I'll give it a good rinse and we'll see what we're working with, because we might be able to just pop her right back onto a pole, which is what I want to do. Oh, I'm scared my coffee's gonna get something in it. I'm gonna move it. There we go. Okay. Look at that root system. That's mighty fine. It is covered in algae, but it's still mighty fine. Okay, so here she is. Looking good. I'm going to... Do I chop off her runner? I want to attach her to the pole. But her aerial roots all run along this side. But that's okay, because she'll eventually turn her leaf. So... Yeah, I'm gonna chop off the runner. I'll just propagate this. These take a really long time to propagate though. If you ever propagate amydriums from runner, be prepared. Like a long time. But anyways, maybe I'll just give that away to you. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, she is still on her original wet stick, which I don't think she needs to be on. So I'm going to pull that off. If you see, this is her original wet stick, and this is her new shoot. So we're going to separate it. And that'll take off some of the root system too. Oh my goodness, the whole root system. I did not think that was going to take off that much of the roots, but you know what? That is okay because she's just a baby plant right now anyways. And this I'm just going to toss because I don't want this. That actually saved me a lot of grief because now I can use a smaller pot. Okay, let's do that. Whipped up a quick batch of the moss and the tree fern mixed with pond and perlite to try on the moss pole. I'm not sure how it's going to go because it is quite gritty. So it might just fall through the pole, but we'll see. We're gonna give it a try because I don't want to use straight moss. I'm over it. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a pot. And I had her in pond before and she was pretty happy. So maybe we should leave her in pond, do you think? Probably a good idea. Yeah, I'm gonna grab some pond. All right, I am back. So what I did was I put some leca in the bottom of this 4-inch pot. And I'm gonna use that as a reservoir. And I have a little tray. And the easy way to rinse your leca is just putting it in the pot. If it has drainage holes, just rinse it like that. Forgot to take off the sticker. Oh, good. Okay, anyways, sorry. So that's just an easy way to drain your leca so that you don't have to grab your strainer. Just put it in your drainage pot and drain it in the sink. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put some pond in here, but I need a little scoop. Okay, I'm going to use this plastic cup as a scoop. I'm just going to put a small layer of leca so that we can fit our pole into here. So there's that. I'm running out of space. I'm going to tilt you down to see what I'm doing on my messy table. Here's our plant. We're gonna do the pole first though, right? Okay, what did I do with the pole? All right, so I'm just gonna build this pole quick. All right, we have our pole ready to go. I'm gonna grab the pot and big poles look hilarious in small pots, okay? Fail. Just dropped my bamboo stick on the floor. Okay. Anyways, that doesn't matter. We can fix that later. I forgot to put the plant in. Damn. Okay. Well. So I'm just putting these aerial roots into the pole. And using my teeth to hold the tape. Perfect. All right, so this is her, my Amydrium Silver. The pond with moss and perlite actually worked pretty good. I just filled it a little bit above where the new growth is going to come, and I will gradually fill it as I get more tree fern, because I would like to just use tree fern and moss. So I want to keep enough of my mixture that I have here for the rest of the plants that I want to do today. But this is her. She is looking good. I watered her with the mica water, and I'm going to put her to the side. Her leaf's a little wonk right now, but she'll straighten out eventually. Let's see what I have left on my list here. My wet notebook list. Look at that. Okay, so I did the Amydrium Silver remove out of the substrate and repot. Now I want to do 4 moss pole extensions. So my Philodendron Verrucosum, my Philodendron Gigas, my Monstera Thai Constellation, and my Monstera Obliqua Amazonas. So I'm going to go and grab my Thai, and we'll do that first. All right, this is my Thai. She is very large. She's not gonna fit in the screen, but I'll put her on my chair. Oh my goodness, she has gotten so big. This here is her newest leaf, and it is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. Let's see if I can lift you up a bit, maybe. Oh yeah, totally. Okay, so that's her newest leaf there, and she is very big. Head test for reference. Okay, but anyways, she is very well rooted into her pole. If you can see, she has got roots all the way down her pole, and look at this ginormous root. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. So if I turn her to the side, you can see that this was from my old repot. Her aerial roots kind of stuck out a bit, but that's okay. So she is all the way to the top. So we want to add another moss pole onto her and fill it. So I'm gonna go grab a pole. Okay, so I have my pole here, and the legs are cut off this one, so I'm just gonna try and fit it into this old one. Oh my goodness, it's the stem, the petiole of the leaf is pushing the pole in, so it looks like a moon. Oh my goodness, it's just taken over this pole. Okay, hopefully this fits. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. Can I get it in? Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh, it worked. Yay. Okay. So, this is crazy, okay? That's not very stable. Oh no, it popped out. Okay, let's try that again. I don't know what's going on here. Gonna have to, oh, it's hitting the, what is it caught on? Oh, it's caught on the, there we go. Okay. Okay, that's better. So now, wow, that's crazy. So now we're just gonna fill it. And have moss and pon all over our floor. Whatever, let's clean it up. Okay. No. Oh my goodness, there's so much moss and pon all over my floor. I might have to grab the broom and do a quick sweep here. I don't want to step on that. Okay, so that is good for now. I'm gonna grab the mica water and give this a good water. Good. Okay. Here she is, and she's too big to fit on my table, so I'm gonna put her back where she was. My beautiful Thai Constellation. Yay. That was actually pretty quick, so I'm glad that was done. Extensions are actually pretty quick, so now I have 3 left. I'm gonna go grab my Gigas and my Verrucosum. I'll be right back. All right, so here is my Giga. She has grown off her pole, and she doesn't really seem to mind. Like, that's a pretty decent sized leaf. I love this plant so much. I bought it as a 1-leaf cutting, and it was that leaf there. Like, how pretty is that? Oh my goodness. Anyways, so we're gonna extend her. She could actually have some more substrate in her pole, just a little bit, before I put the new moss pole in. And here's my Verrucosum. It's so tall, and it has grown off of the pole. It's a beast. So what I need to do is chop and extend this one because it's already got an extension. So I'm gonna do this one last after the Gigas. So we'll get started on the Gigas. I wanna show you the roots in the tree fern, and what did I put in here? Just tree fern? I think this might be straight tree fern. Oh no, this is tree fern and moss. So if you wanna see, she's got some delicious roots in the back there. So she is happy with that, which is really good. I'm wondering if I need to repot her into something bigger. Do I have something bigger for her? I don't know if I do right now. Maybe I'll just extend her. I've wanted a nice Gigas for so long. I have had a couple of these and they just didn't make it. So I'm glad to finally have one that's growing. It's so pretty. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to fill up this pole a little bit And she's in no drainage too, so I have to be really careful about watering her. And she is not in the biggest size of pole either. And her new leaf, I don't want to damage it. Ah. Okay, that's probably good. I'm gonna go grab a pole. Okay, I found a pole that was previously used that I just rinsed out. And see if I can fit it on here. I think it's the same size right now. Let me try this. Might have to bring it down lower. I just had a really good idea too. To fill up the moss poles, you could put saran wrap around them so that the stuff doesn't spill out. I wonder if that would take too long to do though. I might try that in the future. Okay, so I think this one's gonna fit perfect. Excellent. Okay. Okay, let's see though. There we go. Perfect. Ah, yay. See, it actually stuck in there pretty good, so that's good. Now I want to attach her to the pole. She's another one that actually has been attaching herself too, which is surprising because philodendrons sometimes have a hard time attaching to the pole. I've noticed, but let's do it right here. That was a bit long of a piece of Velcro, but that's okay. All right, so hopefully she comes out of that leaf comes out okay. I'm kind of worried about it actually. Oh, okay, let's free it. Operation Free the Leaf. Okay, so I freed the leaf and she is attached. And that moss is actually pretty moist, but I do want to put some myco in there. And I noticed this one did the same thing, so I want it to actually attach to the moss. So I gotta shove some moss down there. Hopefully that works. Okay, she is done. I just need to get the myco water. Some of it is spilling out a little bit, but that's okay. It's still staying in there for the most part. All right, so she is done. All right, guys, next we're gonna do my scalprum. So I wanna give it a chop and extend, but I'm not sure if it's rooted into the pole. So if it isn't rooted, I'm just gonna chop it up and start a new plant. So I'm gonna take off the beneficial bugs and the tape. And take a look and see what's in here. Okay, so I do see some roots in the top of the pole. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see because it's frosted. There's some right in there. And down in here, oh, we might be able to do a chop and extend. That's exciting because when I put it on that pole, there was no roots in the back. So I was hoping that it would root. I attached the saran wrap to try and help it root. So I think that it helped. So let's take off this saran wrap and take a look. That's exciting. I really wanted to extend this, so I might get to do just that. Okay, I'm just removing the bamboo stake out of the back. And, oh, but you know what? It's not rooted there. Darn it. Well, maybe there will be some roots. I'm going to chop it right here. Oh, wait. Okay, let's chop it here. Chopped there, and I'm going to see if I can remove this. Cool. Okay, let's wiggle it out of there and see if it comes. Oh no. Yeah, okay, well there's the tiniest bit of roots at the bottom, so I think I'm just gonna pot it up anyways and hope for the best. And the bottom I'm going to probably just sell. Chop it up and sell it, or keep it like it is, but I might want my pole back. I don't know, I'll figure that out later. And I'm gonna grab a pot. So I think a small pot would be sufficient for this because the roots are just small. So I'm gonna grab that quick, and remember to take off the sticker this time. I hope you guys all had a good long weekend. As I'm filming this, the long weekend is just approaching, but we don't have any plans. I'm not sure what we're doing. Probably just chill, which is nice actually. Okay, so you want to put that lower in to the pot though. I haven't done many extensions in my time, but we're gonna wing it. So I have done a couple, that's for sure, but not a whole bunch. We're gonna use the Pon and Perlite. Ooh, maybe I'm gonna put a leca layer at the bottom. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've just added a little bit of leca on the bottom, and I'm gonna put my tree fern and Pon and Perlite there. I'm gonna try to take out some of this moss so that I can fill the bottom with tree fern and perlite as well. Oh, it's tree fern and moss in there. Sweet, okay. So let's see if we can do that. And then I can also pull some of the roots down too. That's perfect. I'm getting it in my saucer. But I don't want to pull any roots off. I'm scared. Okay, so we do have some more roots in there, so that's good. Is that enough? Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna turn you down so you can see what I'm doing and move some stuff out of the way. Okay, I've got a big mess on my table, ignore that. Try and get the moss off of these roots a little bit more. Good, okay. So, I'm gonna put it in the middle, right in the middle. Jasper? Mommy's got dirty hands, otherwise I would pet you, my girl. Okay, so I think that that is good. Now we are going to get the extension going. So I'm gonna go look for a pole. Okay, I found one. It's not frosted, but that's okay. Chop off the legs. I think that it's the right size. Yeah, that should work just fine. So I think I'll be able to show you a little better what I'm talking about now. Sometimes when you put the pole in, the other pole, yeah, you still can't see. The other pole curves inwards, so there's a gap between here and between here. So when I shove the moss in the top, it avoids going into this part, so I have to manually fill it through this part. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm going to use this tree fern and moss that I took out of the bottom for that, because might as well not waste it. Okay, now I'm gonna try to fill some of the pole. I should have brought the cover pot down with me so it was more stable. That's okay. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do for now. This thing is already going to need another pole. It's going nuts. Okay, let's attach it. Turn it around so you can see her better. It's going to tip over. Maybe I'll bring her up to the... No, I wanted to show you guys, and you can't see up there. Okay, let's chop a piece of tape off and try our best to attach this. Without wrecking that new leaf. There we go. Hopefully that works. Aw, she looks good. But see, she's already to the top of her new pole, so I don't know. We might have to do another chop and extend on her, see what happens. Maybe I should have just chopped that top leaf off, but I didn't want to because I don't want to lose the size. Like, that leaf is so pretty. So, so pretty. And so fuzzy. I'll show you. See that fuzz? Love it. And the new leaf. So pretty. All right, so I think that's going to wrap up our tasks for today. I'm just gonna put this to the side quick. Hopefully it doesn't tip over. And you forgot to water that one. I have some mica water here I'll use. All right, now I'm gonna go over some questions. I put a question box up on my Instagram asking people if they had any questions about moss poles, and I got 3 questions. The first one is, how can I make the laziest possible moss pole? So, the laziest possible moss pole would be the lazy moss pole, which is this one here. So it's just this plastic sheet and plastic little tabs. So this one was developed, as far as I know, by Unplantparenthood. I will link her video in the description box if you guys are curious about building some lazy moss poles. I find them really helpful for smaller plants because no one's figured out how to extend them yet. So if you know how to extend this, please do tell. But as far as we know, there's no way to extend it, so it's just for small plants, and then you can take it off and put it on a bigger pole once it's matured a little bit more. But other than that, I would say the laziest moss poles are these basic D-shaped moss poles because you can extend them. You don't have to like build them in the same way that you do a normal moss pole with the netting or the wire and the zip ties. Like that just takes a lot of time and patience. So I think it's just so much easier to just buy these plastic D-shaped moss poles. They stay moist longer, so that's another good thing. You don't have to water them as often, and they are just all around amazing. I really love them a lot. Number 2 is, what have you found to be the easiest way to water your moss poles? So I think the easiest way to water moss poles is just going slow from the top and with a bottle, and you can watch it in the back. It will go down. You'll see the moisture level go down. And then if you're watering fast, wait till it gets to half, leave it, and then come back to it after and see how far down it's gone. Because a lot of the times the water will still be traveling down and you don't want to overwater it, especially if it's in no drainage. Another thing that I do sometimes is I'll put a plastic cup on the top here and poke some holes in the bottom, or even just like one hole. This is too big of a cup, but I'll show you with this cup. So you would put the cup in there essentially with one hole in the bottom and fill it with water, and it will just water the moss pole for you. So you just have to fill the cup up, which is also a really easy way to water moss poles. And I've also seen Emma and Claire, Good Growing and the Jungle Haven, they both water their moss poles like that. So it's a really good way to water moss poles, especially if you have a lot of them. Number 3 is how to get the plastic coating off the moss pole an easier way. Well, I don't know if there's an easy way to get the plastic coating off of the moss pole. I think that you just have to go super slow, and it's good to do it at an angle rather than straight down. If you do it at an angle from the corner and pull slowly, it comes off a lot easier than if you try to get both of the corners off and pull it straight down. That's been my experience anyway. So I hope that answered your guys' questions. And if anybody else has any questions about moss poles, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if I know, I will definitely respond. Something I wanted to mention was to get your moss pole plants to all face the same way, nice and flat. You have to make sure the light is right in front of them so that the leaves are turning to face the light. Otherwise, they'll just grow wild, but that's something that's really useful to know. And as for watering moss poles, you'll want to water them. It's different with everybody's household conditions. I noticed that my poles in my tents stay moist for a lot longer than my poles in my ambient conditions. So you'll just want to keep track and see how dry the moss is. You can tell by feeling it how dry it is. You don't want it to get super dry because then the roots will dry out, but you don't want it to be super moist either. So try not to overwater your moss poles. If you don't have a fan on them, like if you have a fan on them, it's going to dry them out quicker. But if you overwater them, you can use the fan to help dry it out a little bit. So these are beneficial bugs. These are nematodes for fungus gnat larvae. They also cover ant larvae, aphid larvae, weevils. I'm not sure what weevils are. And more, but I use these to water into my moss poles, and if there's any fungus gnat larvae in there, it will eat the larvae. They're microscopic worms that will just go and hunt out the larvae and eat them. So inside of that box is these pouches. They come in plastic sealed bags. What you would do is put this pouch into your watering can. I think it's a 2-gallon watering can. Yeah. So you add 2 gallons of water and you stir it up really good, and it will release the nematodes into the water, and then you water your moss poles or your plants. You can use it for soil as well, or whatever substrate you're using. And you water it into the substrate or the moss pole and it will release the worms. But after you water it in, you'll want to give it another good watering to push the nematodes further into the substrate. These are a really good option to use if you don't want to use pesticides on your plants. I hope you guys walked away with some useful information today. It was really a good time hanging out with you guys and dealing with all of my moss poles. I needed to do that, so I'm really grateful that I started YouTube so that I can focus more on plant tours that I need to do. Having all my moss poles done at once is a pretty good feeling. I still have my Obliqua Amazonas left, but I'll do that a different video because I just don't have enough substrate for it right now. All right, guys, that's it from me for today. I wanted to thank you guys so much. I got monetized on May 13th, and I think it's wild that I am making money doing my favorite thing in the world. Like that's crazy. Thank you guys so much for all your support along my planty YouTube journey. I am so excited to be doing this now. I love it. I'm gonna keep making videos for you guys. So I have something really exciting coming up next week actually, so stay tuned because me and a couple of my plant YouTube friends have decided on a series collab, and we're gonna be dropping the first episode on the last Thursday of the month. So that is when that will come out. And I might do a short video in between now and then. I think I'm going to start posting my short videos here and there, scattered along the month. But that's all from me. If you like this video, please consider hitting that like button, leaving me a comment in the comment section, or subscribing to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If you're not, thank you for coming back. You guys are awesome. And if you guys want to follow me on TikTok or Instagram for more planty content, you can follow me over here, Planted in Platinum. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!